Hapsi günleri. Hapsi günleri. Hapsi günleri. Gerizekalı. Gerizekalı. Hapsi günleri. I am özürlü ya. Şimdi oynayacağız. Bakalım bir. Bak ya garbiyo bir. Kamerayı şöyle çevireceğim. Bilginize. Devam ediyoruz. Hapsi günleri. Hapsi günleri. Hapsi pis pis pis pis. Hapsi pis pis pis pis. Hapsi günleri. Hapsi günleri. Hepsi günleri. Hepsi günleri. Hapsi günleri. Off to the ailersınız. Off to the ailersınız. Hapsi günleri. Hepsi günleri. Hepsi günleri. Hepsi günleri. Hapsi günleri. Hepsi günleri. Hapsi günleri. Hepsi günleri. Hepsi günleri. Hepsi günleri. Hapsi günleri. Felaket konuşuraks. Çok konuşuraks. Güzellikler içinden ben seni seçtim. Yarpağı sana ben sana verdim. Sen çok alışıyorsun ya. Evet, başlayalım. Güzel. Ne oynasa abi, ne oynasa park altı devam ki ama. Hadi devam ki. O GTA 5 alacakmış ya, GTA 5 oynayalım bence. Bence GTA 5 oynamamız lazımdır. Bence lazımdır. Lazımdır. Evet. GTA 5'i bitireceğiz. Hadi inşallah bakalım. Sallah sallah. Yetaş kalkacakmış çünkü onu bitireceğiz bugün. Şalıngan Nerex. Nirax. Bitireceğiz bugün GTA 5'imizi. Durmak yok, yola devam. Devam ki. Bu oyunu bitirmeden gitmek yok. Kararımı vermişim, bitireceğim. Bu oyun bugün bitecek Egemen, bugün bitecek. Bu oyun bugün bitecek. Evet. Bugün bitecek. Ya zaten şey edeceğim ya. Dur. Bir dakika. Geçebiliriz istersen. Dur. Yapacağım. Evet. Tamam, şunu kapat. Evet. Buraya demek. Oraya direkt. Hani yıkayacağım. Mevte basırsan önemli. Basar. Dur sıra. Dur lan oyundayım ya. Bir dakika şuna bak. Şuna bak bir ya. Şuna bak şuna. Şuna bak şuna. Şuna bak şuna. Şuna bak şuna. Evet, çok güzel. Burası İzmir'de.
Selection of these games. Selecting the perfect game can be challenging. Therefore, we've compiled a list of the top 20 open world games available on Game Pass. Number 20 is Medieval Dynasty. Ever wish to live during the Middle Ages? Well, Medieval Dynasty presents an opportunity to actualize that dream, and the game prioritizes realism over fantasy. Render Cube's title has no mythological monsters or chosen heroes. Instead, players spend their time trying to survive and thrive in a world where achieving either requires a miracle. As a survival game, Medieval Dynasty has all the elements synonymous with the genre, including a heavy focus on monitoring meters and collecting resources. In due time, players will see their small settlement grow into a community that no longer needs to worry about whether they will be able to eat at the end of the day. However, the expansion comes with its own challenges. Number 19 is State of Decay 2. Building upon the foundations of its predecessor, State of Decay 2 offers a string of sizable maps packed with starving zombies. Mirror Valley is arguably the best map in the game, but all the others have their positives, particularly Drucker Country and Cascade Hills. Focusing nearly exclusively on survival, the game tasks the player with building a community capable of withstanding the trials of existing within a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Number 18 is Need for Speed Unbound. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate has a number of Need for Speed games, most of which are polarizing. Hot Pursuit Remastered is decent if someone wants a classic-style arcade racer, while Rivals is underrated. Overall, Heat is probably the strongest of the bunch, but it somewhat suffers from feeling like Forza Horizon Lite. Simply put, the latter games are superior in nearly every way. As such, Unbound gets the nod due to a unique visual presentation that helps set it apart from the competition. Unbound's anime art style is its most eye-catching feature, and if that aesthetic is not to somebody's fancy, they might be better off sticking to some of the other Need for Speed projects on Game Pass. As the latest entry in the series, Unbound controls well and features a gorgeous open world that is fun to explore. However, the game can be a grind, even after post-launch updates ease this issue. Number 17 is The Hunter Call of the Wild. The Hunter Call of the Wild is the definition of a niche product. While hunting game is a fairly common side activity in franchises like Far Cry, it is the sole focus of the Hunter Simulation series. Players traverse rather large maps in search of prey, and Call of the Wild prioritizes realism above nearly everything else. Tracking and shooting targets is a slow and methodical process, one that punishes anyone who gets frustrated or tries to utilize shortcuts. Unsurprisingly, the gameplay loop will not appeal to everyone, particularly since the title removes any elements that might distract from the hunt. Call of the Wild has a wide range of reserves that serve as hunting grounds, and the game features zones from across the world. However, the base game only has Hirschfelden and Leighton Lake, the rest of the maps being DLC. Number 16 is Conan Exiles. In 2018, Conan Exiles came out to a mixed reception, but the live service game managed to weather that rough start and find a dedicated audience. Survival mechanics are generally a great fit for sandboxes, and many of the genre's strongest projects simply drop players in a hellscape and challenge them to preserve for as long as possible. Conan Exiles largely sticks to that formula, although it also presents survivors with enough tools for them to potentially prosper, provided they are willing to do the work. In terms of content type, Funcom casts a surprisingly wide net. Although not amazing in every area, Conan Exiles works as a single-player package with a fixed storyline, an endless PvE survival game revolving around base building and raiding, or a ruthless PvP option. It is up to the player to pick the server that best suits their preferences. For the open world itself, the exiled lands are unforgiving, spacious but not overly big, and capable of producing the occasional impressive vista. Conan Exiles is not the prettiest open world on Game Pass, but is generally consistent. Number 15 is Prey. Prey is a sci-fi thriller set in a space station that has been overtaken by an alien threat called the Typhon. As Morgan, players are cut loose onto a world they do not fully understand, and Arcane does a great job of maintaining that sense of mystery for most of the campaign. Combining stealth, RPG, and Metroidvania elements, Prey is a difficult and immersive game that incorporates puzzles, first-person combat, and exploration. The space station might not be as huge as some other maps on Xbox Game Pass, but it is expertly designed and dense. Number 14 is The Evil Within 2. 2014's The Evil Within sought to fill the horror void left by Resident Evil's descent into action territory, and while not perfect, the game did its job. The sequel expands things by taking place in the simulated town of Union, which Sebastian enters to try and save his daughter. While nowhere near as large or packed with side content as, for example, a Far Cry setting, Union can be freely explored even if Sebastian is generally guided down a path. There are not all that many open-world horror projects, since these types of stories tend to benefit from more curated experiences, but The Evil Within 2 shows the genre can work within a less restrictive structure. Even though slightly spread out, Tango's game still manages to produce its share of genuine scares thanks to some fantastic creature designs. In some ways, The Evil Within 2's open design helps enhance the tension, since there is the sense that something horrifying like Anima could always be right around the corner. While it might not have too much competition, The Evil Within 2 is the best open-world horror game on Game Pass. Number 13 is Far Cry 5. Far Cry has become something of a love-or-hate franchise, but there's no denying that the games can be a lot.
Onu yer alaydın iyiydi
The fifth
ya.
entry
Allah
is the
zorlandık
only one
ya.
available on Xbox Game Pass, and while it is not generally
Onu yer
regarded as the
alaydın iyiydi
licensed
ya.
peak,
Allah
Far
zorlandık
Cry
ya.
5
Zorlandık
has
ana.
plenty of positives in its favor. Set in Montana, the
Zorlandık
story
ya.
follows a rookie marshal as they try to liberate the region from the manipulative clutches of Joseph Seed's cult. The large but not exhausting map is split into 3 parts, each one governed by a disciple of Joseph. While the gameplay loop remains largely the same within each area, the story missions reflect the main cult member's personality. Consequently, the campaign is repetitive but seldom boring. As has become a franchise staple, Far Cry 5's villains steal the show, and they are all wildly different from each other. Faith's Seat is especially memorable, although Joseph is also charismatic enough to believably serve as the cult's idol. While not quite as diverse or exotic as some other settings in Ubisoft's series, Montana nevertheless serves as a fun sandbox. Number 12 is LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. The Skywalker Saga covers the main 9 Star Wars movies, presenting fans with an opportunity to play through the most memorable moments from the original prequel and sequel trilogies. Each film contains a couple of unique missions that are relatively linear in scope, although they do provide some room for exploration. More importantly, the Skywalker Saga also includes free-roaming hubs that are effectively open worlds. Players can travel to and investigate some of Star Wars' iconic planets and moons. While relatively relaxing, these sections can spontaneously turn into battle zones, so they are not just designed for sightseeing. If nothing else, this LEGO game allows fans to live within the Star Wars universe, one that has been immaculately recreated by TT Games. If this video has you hooked till now, let your mouse click that thumbs up button and spread the joy. Number 11 is Valheim. After existing solely on Steam for roughly 2 years, Valheim eventually joined Xbox's Game Preview initiative, making it available to Game Pass subscribers. Regardless of platform, Iron Gate's Viking-themed survival title is nothing short of fantastic. While still a work in progress, the current version is still relatively robust. In fact, the game in its current state is likely to keep most players entertained for longer than the vast majority of fully released open-world projects. Utilizing procedurally generated maps, Valheim drops players in a reasonably big world that is split into biomes. From there, they must craft weapons and armor that will allow them to survive the various enemies and bosses that populate the world. As an added bonus, this title also supports base building, and the system is fairly deep as well. While the combat system is just decent, Valheim shines when taken as a whole package rather than focusing exclusively on one element. Number 10 is Stranded Deep. Stranded Deep is a pure survival game. After a plane crash, players find themselves stranded in the Pacific Ocean surrounded by a couple of islands. As tends to be standard for the genre, the gameplay loop revolves around managing meters relating to stuff like hunger and sleep, collecting resources, building shelter, and exploring. Stranded Deep utilizes procedurally generated maps, so while the core mechanics might not change too much, each playthrough offers something a bit different. Survival open-world games are an acquired taste, and Stranded Deep is a reasonably challenging entry into the subgenre. That said, the title is relatively unique compared to other projects on Game Pass, and it is a good pick for anyone searching for a more hardcore campaign. Number 9 is Immortals Fenyx Rising. Ubisoft loves open worlds maybe a little too much. Overexposure and product exhaustion are very real things, and regardless of the quality of the individual projects, the sheer volume of Ubisoft open-world games in existence has made them feel ordinary. Valhalla is incredible in isolation, but within context, it is just another Assassin's Creed title. Far Cry 6 shakes up its franchise's ideas in a few divisive ways, but the game's biggest flaw is that fact it is a license's 7th entry in the span of a decade. Immortals Fenyx Rising will not impress anyone who is completely burned out on the Ubisoft formula, but it might hit the spot for fans who want something familiar but still different. Inspired by Greek mythology and taking a few hints from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, this action-adventure game blends colorful visuals with fun hack-and-slash combat and a comedic story, all while delivering a large but not overwhelming map. While optional content is present, Immortals Fenyx Rising gives players room to decide the extent they wish to interact with these quests. Number 8 is Sunset Overdrive. Insomniac has spent recent years crafting superhero-themed adventures featuring everyone's favorite neighborhood wall crawler. However, Marvel's Spider-Man was not the developer's first foray into open-world territory. Sunset Overdrive might be one of the more underappreciated titles of the 2010s, and the game's brilliant movement system ranks it among the best open-world games on Game Pass. Basically a large playground, Sunset City is filled with rails and zip lines, encouraging players to take to the skies and grind their way above the streets. The gunplay is also fun, particularly once players unlock their full arsenal of weapons. Number 7 is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Xbox Game Pass includes 2 Assassin's Creed games, Origins and Odyssey. Each title is an ambitious open-world game packed to the brim with content, both mandatory and optional. There is not all that much separating the two in terms of quality, and someone's preference might come down to whether they prefer Origins' ancient Egypt or Odyssey's ancient Greece. As the latter is the former's sequel, it fine-tunes some of its predecessor's mechanics, particularly the combat system. As Origins is the first chronological entry, newcomers to the series should start with that title. However, the franchise's releases can be enjoyed as standalone adventures, so Odyssey is still an option. Number 6 is Grounded. After a lengthy spell in early access, Grounded has finally made its full debut. A normal backyard becomes a dangerous sandbox filled with terrifying creatures after players are shrunk down so that a blade of grass towers over them, finding themselves in a sticky situation as they try to make their way back home. The protagonist must survive this strange land as they adapt to its ecosystem. Grounded is an imaginative open-world game that takes inspiration from its contemporaries while still carving out a unique voice that sets it apart from the crowd. Obsidian is responsible for some of the most fully realized worlds in gaming, and Grounded is another feather in the developer's cap. Number 5 is Microsoft Flight Simulator. Not every person who owns an Xbox Series X or S will gravitate toward Microsoft Flight Simulator, but there are undoubtedly people who specifically purchased the console who played this flight sim. After spending a year as a PC exclusive, Asobo Studios project finally made its way to Microsoft's latest hardware, and even a couple of years after its launch, the 2021 release is still among the console's most impressive technical showcases. As its title suggests, the game seeks to accurately recreate the experience of piloting a plane, at least to the point that gaming allows. While somewhat realistic, Flight Simulator is relatively accessible by the subgenre standards, so newcomers who have never sat down in a virtual cockpit can rely on a detailed tutorial to teach them the basics. Generally, Flight Simulator's gameplay is structured around flight plans, which are linear by design. However, players are given free rein in how they approach routes since they can plan their own flights through the world map mode. Essentially, Earth is Microsoft Flight Simulator's open world, and while players might not be able to land and go for nothing else, this LEGO game allows fans to live within the Star Wars universe, one that has been immaculately recreated by
Guys, Xbox has dropped Christmas early this December as we have just an insane amount of new Game Pass games coming, and boy, there is some dang good ones here. I'm super excited. My name is Sunny and I'm the host here at Xbox Central. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you enjoy this video, but let's start off with Remnant from the Ashes. This is a fan favorite co-op action RPG title that released all the way back in 2019, and now it makes its way onto Game Pass. And this is a genre blending title that combines many great aspects of other popular franchises such as Dark Souls, maybe a little bit of Fallout with the post-apocalyptic feel, and even some parts of like Diablo to really create a totally unique gameplay. Now, From the Ashes puts you in the shoes of one of the survivors trying to get by in a dynamically generated post-apocalyptic world that really never lets you settle. What really makes Remnant so special among the sea of action RPGs is its unique co-op experience. Sure, you can absolutely play solo and make your way through this brutal world slashing monsters all alone, and you're gonna have a great time, trust me. But the game really shines surviving together with your buddies. And while many players often compare Remnant with Dark Souls, I find the game to be a little less brutal in terms of difficulty, but it definitely makes up for it with the random boss fights that really never let you prepare beforehand. Lastly, the combat in this game is by far its biggest draw. It's very unpredictable, it's intense, it's fast paced, and instead of melee weapons like in Dark Souls, this one has guns. And the game just keeps you hooked with seriously cool weapons and gear that you can customize according to your own playstyle, which is awesome. Ashes is available to play today on consoles, cloud, and PC. Now, if you already played the first game and maybe you were saving up to buy Remnant 2, don't guys, because it is also on Game Pass, and this actually released earlier this year, and guys, this time survivors are up against an even darker force, facing off against deadly creatures and colossal bosses with godlike powers that really threaten to destroy whatever's left of humanity, and the game doubles down on the co-op elements of its predecessor, letting you join with up to 3 friends in an epic showdown of survival. Now, of course, you can play the whole game solo, but it definitely gets a little bit more challenging without a buddy or two to lean on when things get hard. The game world is filled with all sorts of new and familiar monsters that really require some serious skills and strategy to beat. And speaking of skills, I really dig the leveling system in this game. It really gives you the freedom to tailor your character with skills that complement your playstyle, and it's just a lot more in depth. Much like the first game though, Remnant 2 offers incredible replayability thanks to its random dungeon generation, which really makes every playthrough different from the last. Remnant 2 also takes what made From the Ashes the first game awesome and bumps it up to 11. You get challenging combat, random and procedurally generated worlds, and a variety of enemies and bosses that just keep you on your toes all the way through. Guys, be like me, download this like I have already. It's going to be available on cloud, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Now, SteamWorld Build is an upcoming city building simulation game that puts you in charge of saving a desolate town on a dying planet. Now, the only way out of this sticky situation is to dig deep, and the reason you're digging, guys, there is technology that might help save the entire civilization, and that tech is buried deep. SteamWorld Build introduces new elements to the franchise like town building, resource management, all above ground or even below ground. Not only that, you'll be managing an entire community of cranky steam bots, all with their own unique quirks, and you need to deal with those in order for them to do their job properly. You'll also be bartering, trading, and making sure the goods flow non-stop. The game has 5 maps, all with their own challenges and secrets to uncover, and a variety of difficulty levels to keep the game fresh. SteamWorld Build releases this December 1st on cloud, PC, and consoles. Now, a surprise Game Pass drop this December is a game you might not know about, but it's been loved by many for many years now, is Clone Drone in the Danger Zone. And god, that's a cool name. This is a robot voxel game where the name of the game is slicing up other robots to death, all in the name of human defiance, as your mind got uploaded to one of these robots, and now it's about survival and killing hordes of these mechanical beings. The game full-on features a story mode, there's an endless mode, even huge multiplayer modes, things like Last Bot Standing. There's also full online co-op if you're wanting to play alongside a buddy, and of course you guys want to slash and slice robots together. The combat in this game is fast-paced and it's pretty fun, and the thing I mentioned earlier about the game being loved, well, it actually has over 20,000 overwhelmingly positive user reviews, and it comes with a Metacritic score of 84 since its release back in 2021. So if you're looking for some mindless fun, you're going to have it here with Clone Drone in the Danger Zone. Love saying that. Coming to Xbox Series X and S, cloud, and PC on December 5th. Rise of the Tomb Raider, which dropped all the way back in 2016, is still a great one today, and it's almost like the ultimate adventure movie, but in a video game form, where you step into the boots of the iconic Lara Croft, a badass female protagonist on a mission to uncover the secrets of immortality, and she's not afraid to climb, jump, and shoot her way through any obstacle. This game relies heavily on action and combat. There are heart-stopping moments, there's stealthy takedowns and intense battles that'll definitely make your heart pump faster. You've got a whole arsenal at your fingertips as well, assault rifles, shotguns, pistols, you name it. If the game's not just about spraying bullets, the game also rewards you for stealth. You can sneak around, use that bow and arrow for silent takedowns, you can distract enemies to slip by unnoticed. Really, the choice is yours. If you're into exploration, you're into gripping stories, and a hero who can kick some serious butt, Rise of the Tomb Raider is your go-to when it lands on December 5th on cloud, console, and PC. So we have a new Day 1 Game Pass title called While the Iron's Hot, and I have to say this game looks promising as you take on the role of a journeyman blacksmith set to become legendary yourself, but also help restore a village to its former glory. And this game is literally centered all around blacksmithing and everything that comes with that. You'll be forging and smelting and combining metals to grow your skills, but you'll also discover new items never before created, and you'll also engage with the townsfolk, including rival and fellow blacksmiths who have their own ambitions and designs. To me, what stands out about this game is really the visuals. I'm kind of like a sucker for these hand-drawn pixel visuals, and to me the game looks gorgeous. There's quite a bit of exploring you can do, there's discovering secrets in the game, but interestingly, there's no combat in this game, so you're not getting that at all. It's literally about building up your shop, building up the village, talking to the townsfolk and having relationships there, and of course crafting to your heart's content. While the Iron's Hot lands on December 5th on consoles, cloud, and PC. Though a really underrated zombie shooter game that's coming to Game Pass is World War Z, and this is a game to this day, despite a few years old now, is still getting major updates, including when this drops on Game Pass on the 5th, and that update's called Valley of the Zeke. Now, this game is a third-person shooter that has you and your team battling swarms of zombies in an incredible fast-paced firefights with really the goal is surviving and progressing through the campaigns. There's 8 unique classes you can choose from, and each has their own special abilities that you can bring to the group. Now, of course, a game like this comes with full co-op, and usually in the past I've never had any problems getting into games with my fellow Xbox players. There is of course PvE here as you guys take on challenges with your buddies or alone, or you can even go in the player versus player modes, but the big thing is on December 5th is this new update Valley of the Zeke, and this thing is dropping 3 new maps, 4 completely new characters, a new campaign of you leading this group of survivors to salvation. So there's really a lot happening, and it's a great time to play this one. I think it's one of the better zombie shooters, and I think it's severely underrated. This will be on consoles, cloud, and PC. So it seems like Game Pass is going all in on chaos this December with Goat Simulator 3. This is an exceptional sandbox farmyard experience that throws you back into the hooves of Pilgor, that crazy goat. And this is set on the island of San Agora, and this is a weirdly addicting simulation game that lets you wreak havoc in the most hilarious ways possible. You can do things like lick and headbutt and fly across this massive open world that proudly claims to be the biggest waste of your time since the original Goat Simulator game. This one's all about doing what your heart desires, as there's no rules or guidelines, really just pure fun to be had with the wobbly physics, destructible world, and of course a ton of hilarious references to real world events. And the best part is you get to do all these crazy things with your friends in the multiplayer co-op mode, as Goat Simulator 3 lets you invite up to 3 friends for local or online co-op mayhem. Goat Simulator 3 is available this December 7th on PC, cloud, and Xbox Series X and S. Now if you're a fan of city building simulation games, you're in luck because Against the Storm is making its way onto Game Pass, and this has been loved in early access since its release. The game puts you in charge of building a vast network of settlements, each inhabited by fantasy races with their own unique quirks and needs in a dark post-apocalyptic world. But Against the Storm ain't your run-of-the-mill city builder, it's actually a roguelike. That means that your settlements fall and the game doesn't end. You can carry forward resources and upgrades and experience to fuel your next expedition into the wild. The game challenges you with ever-changing biomes and unexpected threats and never-ending needs of your inhabitants. Against the Storm is a great mix of roguelike and city builder that offers strategy, unpredictability, and problem solving that'll keep you coming back for a while. This will be available on December 8th on PC Game Pass. So Tin Hearts is an innovative puzzle adventure game that revolves around Albert, a genius inventor leading an army of tin soldiers through challenging puzzles set in a Victorian home. You've got over 50 unique and challenging puzzles, and each one unfolds in different spots like the bedroom or the gardens or the basements, and every new area introduces introduces fresh ideas to the table. What's your mission? It's to guide toy soldiers from their starting box to a doorway using strategically placed toy blocks and inventions. And while puzzles are a crucial part of the game, Tin Hearts isn't just about puzzle solving. It's an emotional journey where each puzzle you solve unlocks a fond memory of Albert's past life. And as you progress, you unlock crazy inventions and toy cannons and trampoline drums and even a little time manipulation ability that lets you rewind and fast forward to see kind of how your move plays out. What's cool is there's various ways to reach your goal and secrets to uncover and achievements to bag, really giving you reasons to come back and play this one. This lands on the cloud, consoles, and PC on December 12th. Now, Far Cry 6 might not be the best one in the series, but I think it's still a solid choice that I personally got to enjoy when it released years ago. Set in a fictional Caribbean island of Yara, the game puts you in the shoes of Donnie Rojas, a guerrilla fighter trying to take down the ruthless dictator Anton Castillo. Played by Giancarlo Esposito, coming from Ubisoft, Far Cry 6 excels in open-world exploration with breathtaking landscapes from lush jungles to urban landscapes and a crazy mix of vehicles, weapons, and wildlife. Now, the story is intense, with twists and turns as you navigate through a world torn by revolution. Now, the gameplay is pretty much what you'd expect in any Far Cry game. It's a mix of stealth, explosions, and a good dose of unpredictable moments that often lead to heart-pounding cutscenes. Far Cry 6 definitely lacks a bit of innovation when it comes to new gameplay mechanics compared to the other Far Cries, but if you're looking for a good single-player open-world adventure with a great story, this is absolutely a good one as it launches on December 14th on consoles, cloud, and PC. So Spirit of the North is a third-person adventure game where you play as a fox who discovers that you're being drawn in by the Guardian of the Northern Lights, and this is a magical spirit fox who guides you along your journey. Meanwhile, you'll be discovering what happened to him and why the land all around you is different. This is an interesting game because there's no dialogue whatsoever, there's not even narration. You almost have to kind of deduce what the story is about in your own mind and come up with your own conclusions. The game is about exploring, solving puzzles, and just figuring out what the narrative of what happened in this land that's been left to chaos. This looks like a fun, relaxing indie title that hits Game Pass on December 1st. And with that, guys, we have two completely new additions coming to Game Pass Core, which I have to say is a heck of an awesome surprise. Not only that, Xbox in today's press release said there is plans to update Game Pass Core about 2 to 3 times a year. So keep that in mind if you guys are solely a Game Pass Core user. You're going to see some changes in the time ahead. Let's talk about the two games coming. Both are coming December 6th. We'll start this with Chivalry 2. This is a first-person multiplayer medieval hack and slash game that has you engaging in glorious epic fights. If you've ever dreamed about being a medieval warrior storming a castle and seeing what it's like being a soldier in that environment, this game has you covered as you fight alongside and go against your fellow players in 64-player battlefields that will have swords clashing, arrows raining down, catapults firing gloriously as you try to defend or take over castles and win battles. There is 4 base classes in this game and there's 10 subclasses within those 4. There's also 30 unique different weapon types and a ton of random items in the battlefield you can use, things like fiery oil pots and archer stakes and just a lot more. If you guys are looking to fight in some epic medieval battles, then I think Chivalry 2 will be a good one to play on Game Pass Core, and this will be available December 6th. Now, Totally Reliable Delivery Service lands on Game Pass Core, and this is all about making deliveries in a wacky and fun way. The big elements to this game is the ragdoll physics that make everything look extremely goofy as you attempt to make package deliveries in a variety of fun ways. Through the skies, maybe through the water, all while your characters are flopping around pretty much uncontrollably. This is a great game that is meant to be lighthearted, but maybe even great for the little ones. If you're looking to play with your kids or maybe your little brother or sister, you can really do some fun co-op sessions delivering packages together and just having a blast. Total Reliable Delivery Service lands on Xbox Game Pass Core on December 6th. As always, guys, we have a multitude of games leaving Game Pass this December 15th. You get a 20% discount on those games if you want to buy them before they leave. But if you guys are looking for the very best games to play on Game Pass this 2024, make sure you check out that video on the screen.
Here we go, and I'm hitting it now. Boom. Alright, I believe we are live. What is going on, everybody? This is Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with your weekly episode of the Xbox 2 podcast with the one and only Jez Corden of Windows Central. What is going on, buddy?
All good, man. God, it's been a busy week. Microsoft did not let up. And I had a really big writing project to do this week. So I was like, okay, I'm going to set everything aside and just focus entirely on this one project. And then Microsoft just kept dropping bombs, and it's like, oh, okay, now I have to stop doing this and stop doing this. So yeah, it's been a very exhausting week, and I'm very grateful that it's the weekend now. I'm rounding off nicely with my buddy Rand. He's doing a bit of podcasting.
But hey, are you sure Microsoft just won't drop news on Saturday and Sunday, and you're going to continue to have to write up articles on Windows Central, though?
Historically, they haven't really dropped news on the weekend. So I'm hoping that Microsoft will leave me alone for a couple of days. And leave our news team alone for a couple of days. They've been playing a blinder as well. So playing a blinder means they've been doing a good job, by the way, for those who aren't British. So, you don't say that in America, right? Playing a blinder.
No, I've never heard of that term ever before. Let's see if anybody in chat has heard this, like Pong Soul or Gunstar or Deck or any of the already like a whole bunch of people. Like I think we're already over at like 500 or whatever, just starting now. But anybody know exactly what that phrase Jez is talking about? Because I've honestly have never heard of it before. So,
And a blinder. Playing a blinder, man. Yeah.
Playing a blinder. What does that even mean?
I don't know. I think it means like you play so well, like your mind blows or something. I don't know what it means, but you say that at sports events and stuff, like, oh man, that player played a blinder to get this match or whatever.
See, everybody in the UK seems to know. I've never heard of it before in my entire life. This is very. You should start a podcast where you just talk about, phrases that you know from the British that we Americans have no idea about. So you turned to blinder, okay?
Yeah, and now I'm just getting ready to chill and podcasting with you, playing a bit of Overwatch and
Overwatch with that 120 frames, right?
Yeah, 120 frames. Although I don't have 120 frames right now because my capture card's plugged in. That's another annoying thing. I need a pass-through device that does 120 hertz. But I haven't found one yet. They all bottleneck at 60. Man, that's a first world problem and a half, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was nice to discover that my TV does 120 at 1440p though. I bet there's a lot of people out there who just don't know that their TV can do.
It's almost like maybe you should write an article for Windows Central about it.
Yeah, probably, but not
like best TVs to get or something like that.
I think we have one.
Shout out to Hustle and Motivate for becoming the newest member of the channel. Thank you for all the support, buddy, and enjoy your emotes. As well as we got our second member of the channel, Senator White. Thank you for joining as well. Enjoy the emotes. I appreciate all the support. But we got our first salty super chat, Jez, from and surprisingly you can tell where this would go from the name of the person, the PlayStation Lord, right? So you can imagine the super chat. He says Halo Starfield is in 2021. Haha, thanks on both your faces. What a quality super chat. Thank you for the money though. I appreciate it. We just appreciate it. I think some of the PlayStation fans are a little bit. They're running with Jason Schreier's tweet from earlier today.
What was that?
Gotham Knights got delayed, and someone responded to him with like, at least Halo and Starfield are coming out this year, and Jason Schreier said, I don't know about that. So now everybody's like, oh, Halo and Starfield aren't coming out this year. Like
I mean, who knows, huh?
I don't know. I feel pretty confident Halo will come out at least. As for Starfield, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Sin Vendetta says, shout out to Jez for beating Jeff Grubb at being the biggest stud. Jez leading the poll at 53%.
Nice.
You're in a poll versus Jeff Grubb?
Yeah, someone put a poll up, who's the biggest stud, Jez or Jeff? And it's pretty even split right now. It's a pretty even match.
You're lucky if it was just the biggest stud, because if it was who had the best hair, Jeff would win that by like a landslide number of votes.
Yeah, that is true.
That is very true. So how's your week been? Other than like constantly just writing up articles on Windows Central about everything that Microsoft is doing multiple times every single day this week. Is your week pretty good though?
Yeah, mostly. It's all good. I'm just, just looking forward to the weekend now.
So you get to play some video games while we talk about video games, right?
Yeah.
How'd you feel about being someone writing an article about you because of a smiley face? Did that make your... Has that ever happened before? Like, I know people write articles about you a lot, right? Like, there are people that listen to the show whenever you say something that sounds pretty interesting. Maybe you drop like a huge leak or something. There always end up being articles that come out and says Jez Corden's Xbox 2 podcast with no mention of me, no mention of Rand. And Randall Chop Liver indeed. I find it hilarious, right? Because people think of like you and Jeff Grubb and a couple other people as like quote unquote insiders, right? So you can never like tweet something or say something in public because people might think it's a hint about something that's coming later. And I love the fact that somebody literally took the time to write a 5 paragraphs about your reply to the one and only Hasdor. I thought that was hilarious, and we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about the whole Persona tweet and what you meant about it. And then you even went, because I know this was you, like the Windows Central Gaming Twitter account, you posted a picture of Persona 4, Persona 3 on the PS2 on top of the Series X and said, look, here's a picture of Persona on Xbox. I knew that was you. Like, I didn't even have to think twice. I was like, oh, could it have been Miles? Could it have been somebody else? No, it was just Gordon.
Just having a bit of fun,
just feeling the rumors, yeah. Shout out to Mun840 for also becoming the newest member of the channel. Appreciate all the support, man. Enjoy the emotes, the Filmic one. We got Halo Craig. We got Randall Tomato. And Jezicado. We got a whole bunch of ones here. Appreciate anybody that hits the join button or supports the show with super chats or just being here is more than enough, though. Because we appreciate everybody who takes the time out of the day to watch the podcast, whether it's for 15 minutes or whether it's for the entire thing. So thank you guys. Kristen Borick says, do you guys think Rockstar would allow Microsoft to FPS boost Red Dead Redemption 2? I doubt it, but it would be a dream come true. Love the show. Now, interesting, I'll answer that question because our buddy Cole Eastwood, right? I talk to Cole every single day. Jez, you're a big fan and friend of Cole's too, right?
Yeah, Cole's a dude.
Yeah, Cole. Okay, Cole. Yeah, I never heard Cole's a dude. Well, yes, he is.
Colt is a top bloke.
He's a top bloke. Okay, I get that. So, when the FPS boost was announced, he was able to interview Jason Ronald of Xbox's hardware team, the program manager, and he basically asked Jason, like, hey, do you have to get permission from developers, publishers, if you want an FPS boost? And basically Jason said, yeah, some of these developers or publishers might have plans for their franchises in the future. Now, specifically how that pertains to Rockstar and Red Dead Redemption 2, I wouldn't be surprised if Rockstar maybe had a plan of potentially, selling you a remaster on next gen with 60 frames instead of FPS boost for free. Yeah, right?
Take-Two reselling your game again? Mm-hmm. No way. They would never do that.
They would never do that. I mean, they've only done it with Grand Theft Auto 5. It's amazing they did Grand Theft Auto 5 in the 360 and then sold it to you again on the Xbox One and then going to sell it to you again on the Xbox Series X and PS5. It's kind of crazy.
I'm surprised they didn't do Skyrim. Again. Next gen Skyrim.
Next gen. They maybe they will. Maybe they will.
They've done the FPS boost on that.
They did, but apparently the PC ports of Evil Within and Nier Automata are new ports. Better than the Steam versions. I don't know if you've seen that. Like Evil Within on the PC has features that aren't in the console version or the PC version. Like it's a brand new port. Yeah. So maybe they'll do stuff like that. Humdrum Dog says, Judge Rain, please tell me Halo is this year, please. I believe it's this year. If it's not this year and it gets delayed to 2022, then then people need to lose their jobs over at 343. Honestly, Like, I know that's kind of a little bit mean, but something must have seriously gone wrong if you delay the game a year and then have to delay the game yet again, right? So I feel pretty confident that at least Halo Infinite will be launching this year. I know, Jazz, do you feel the same?
I don't have any Halo sourcing, so I have no idea what the state of the game is right now. But presumably the game was close to being finished last year. If their whole plan was to launch it last year, and then it didn't come out, then it had to be in a close to finished state, I would have thought. But crazier things have happened, and I think it's more important that the game ships in a state that is befitting of the franchise and expectations. So even if it does get delayed, after Cyberpunk, I'm kind of inclined to think, well, maybe that's a good thing. It's complicated because some big studios were impacted way harder than others with COVID and stuff. Some studios just had to really mix up their pipeline. They weren't built for remote work and stuff like that. So I think 343 might have been among the studios that perhaps weren't geared well enough to handle remote working. Could be wrong, it's just speculation. But, either way, I think it's better that the game ships in a final state, so we'll just have to wait and see.
T.Talker says, what Fallout should I play in Game Pass having never before? What should you start with? Which ones are in Game Pass? I think it's just 4 and New Vegas, right? Is 3 on there?
Well, it's 76.
Oh, yeah, Fallout 76 is on there.
I'm definitely... Well, you can say first.
Okay. I've never played New Vegas, and actually I've never played 4. I'm not the biggest Fallout fan. I'll say that right out of the gate. I'm much more of an Elder Scrolls fan. I played all the Elder Scrolls. I am not... I beat Fallout 4. I got all the achievements and did all the DLC, but I didn't play New Vegas. I haven't played Fallout 4 yet. I'm thinking about actually... I own Fallout 4. I'm thinking about going back and playing it. So I'm not the best person to ask on this, Jez. Do you have or you can even ask Jack, Jack, which Fallout would you start with if, someone on Game Pass has never played a Fallout game? Which one would you recommend, Jez?
Personally, I love New Vegas at the time, even though it was a buggy hellscape. But I don't even feel like Skyrim and Fallout 4 have aged that well. So I can't imagine going all the way back to Fallout 3 and New Vegas, which built on the Oblivion engine. Even though Fallout New Vegas does give you the most freedom in the 3D franchises anyway, by your decisions actually mattering. It's the one that feels most like an RPG, other than the 2 original ones. So if you're willing to adjust, and at least it has been resolution boosted for the Xbox One X and stuff, you can go back and play Fallout 3 in New Vegas. They have good stories and big maps, and the decisions are fun and interesting. But I think Fallout 4 probably holds up more as a shooter. They completely redid the shooting system. The guns are fun to use.
You could also say, hey, check out Outer Worlds.
Yeah,
since that's kind of like Fallout-ish.
Yeah, Outer Worlds it's good. It's good-ish. I don't think Outer Worlds sort of reaches to Fallout's level yet.
Well, I'm not saying it reaches to Fallout. I'm just saying, it's at least more of a, visually looks better. It got the FPS boost to 60, so it runs well. I'm actually gonna play it. We're gonna talk about that when the game's played here in just a minute. But Sin Vendetta says, "Ha! I need Jez to sing. I'm a dude. He's a dude. She's a dude. We're all dudes. Hey." So I gotta request to sing, Jez.
I don't know that song. So
he doesn't know that song, unfortunately. God.
I apologize. What is that? Is that from a movie?
I believe so. Yes. Cameron Mitchell says, "Keep it up, dude." Thank you. We definitely will keep it up. Videos, podcasts, all that stuff. We'll definitely keep it up. Athiel S says, "Great show as always. I have 2 questions. Do you think Game Pass will incentivize more microtransactions to turn a profit? And do you think there'll be higher tier of Game Pass that gives you all expansion packs like you play on PC?" So like, are you saying?
Well, then like
so
this.
to answer the second question, a higher tier of Game Pass. So you're saying like a third tier? Because you already have one where you can subscribe individually to Game Pass, console or PC, $10 each. You have the Ultimate tier, which is $15, which gives you Xbox Live Gold and console and streaming and PC. So you're saying there's a one above Ultimate for what? Let's say $20. That would essentially give you any DLC for the games that come out in it. I don't know. Usually, if you kind of turn something Ultimate, it's like the. I always kind of look at it like, okay, Ultimate is like the top tier. Like, what is beyond Ultimate, right? Jez, can you kind of? Because I think Ultimate's the highest tier. I can't see there being 3. Maybe they add like a family plan, which would be more expensive or something. But like, I can't imagine there being a tier above Ultimate.
I think like I'm actually planning to write about this next week if things go to plan. But I do think like there were not a tier above, but I was thinking of a tier below, like Game Pass Go or something that's cheaper, includes just Microsoft first party games, and includes xCloud. Because I think like one of the issues with getting Xbox Game Pass on PlayStation or Nintendo Switch is that you're basically stopping people from buying those games on those other storefronts. But I think maybe Nintendo would go for it, or PlayStation maybe would go for it, if it was only the games that Microsoft wasn't going to bring to the platform anyway. I mean, it's still a stretch. I still don't think PlayStation would like the idea of people using an Xbox service instead of playing a game from their store, for example. But I do think it's potentially one way Microsoft can get around issues with iOS and also the Google Play Store, and also have a tier just for xCloud. Because right now, if you want